Okay, so let's look at our latest updated version of the property investment software. I'm just going to do a quick demo of that. Firstly, let's go to arsenalestate.co.za. The screen will open. You've got two ways to access the property software. Just close that. Finance, then property investment calculator, or there's a button here that highlights when you hover over it. If you click there as well, we'll open this, and here we go. So the goal of this software is to compare and evaluate investment properties before you buy. That's really what it is about. It's very customizable, so you can enter the figures that make sense to you. Let's use some real life examples. Let's use the links 1, 2, 3. Let's do that. On that one, there's no transfer bond cost. You're not putting a deposit down. This is an interesting feature where we've introduced months expected before transfer date. So if you sign now and it transfers in 24 months, you can see what the projected value is at a given rate that would provide lowered down, which is quite nice. It auto calculates that. So in this instance, let's say 2 months to transfer. Mortgage term 30 years. You can change all of this like you want to. Default interest rate is 11.25. Let's say the rental income is 10,000. Monthly rates and taxes is 750. Monthly levies on this one, let's say 1,400. You can make provision for maintenance and any other tax deductible expense. For instance, if you're paying your internet for your tenant, then that's a deductible expense. You can add that in there. Also, here's our growth rate. So annual rental income growth rate, so it's your rental escalation per annum. You can bring that up and down, up or down. Annual capital growth rate, that's self-explanatory, of the property that you estimate it to be. You can be as conservative as what you would like to be. The nice thing is also, if you're comparing different properties, different types of properties within the same location, you might feel that, for instance, a house might grow at a higher percentage than the apartment. Or if you're comparing different areas, you might feel this area is a better area than that one. So from a growth point of view, I'm going to add an extra percentage point or two when I do that. It's all, the power is in your hands to do that. Annual expense growth, that's your inflation rate at which your expenses increase annually. Rental management fee, and vacancy rate. If you want to make provision for vacancies to be conservative, you can do that. So let's compare this to Silver Views, and I think a studio apartment 980. I think it was 987. 1, 2, 3, and transfer and bond costs, I can't remember, but I think, let's say there's 60,000 that you have to pay there. So now you can see the different dynamics immediately. Right, expected months before transfer, let's say this one is 18 months before transfer at this point of doing the calculation. Rental income, let's say my rental income expected at that time will be 9,000 for this unit. My rates and taxes will be that. My levy is that per month. And I'm going to leave those ones the same just for interest's sake. So let's say I want to add another property. Now I want to add a house. So we want to see how these properties firstly perform against each other. So let's say Silverstone. Let's say I'm doing a 2.3 million rand house. Transfer and bond cost that I need to pay here is 100,000. Down payment in this instance is 20,000. And let's say it's a turnkey property and it will be ready in 9 months. Righto, there is all those figures. Let's say my rental income is 15,000, rates and taxes is 950, monthly levies 1,200. Okay, so there I've got 3 properties now. I want to, for this exercise, I want to compare and see how these ones perform. Now remember, I left all these rates the same, but you can change that. You can change your growth rates if you feel this one might grow at a higher rate than that one, etc. So this is where I select my income tax bracket, and we'll get back to this section 13 deduction as well just in a moment. So but for now, let's keep it simple. View mode is individual, and let's look. I've got different graph types in real time that I can select here to see how these properties that I entered, remember I can enter as many as I want, and I want to see how they perform against each other. So let's see what we've got here. So black is the links, green is Silverviews, the cheaper one, and Silverstone is the red one. So 0 is my break-even point. This is my shortfalls, my annual shortfall. So cash flow until break-even point. So I can see that Silverviews will break even after year 5. The links at that figures there, and obviously Silverstone a little bit later. So from a cash flow point of view, I can see how they compare. From an equity point of view, difference between my debt and my current value. I can see how they perform over time. Obviously, if Silverstone maintains that growth over time, you can see how the equity of Silverstone outperformed these. But remember, to be fair, if you're comparing Silverstone to one apartment individually, I think it's unfair, because surely we need to compare it to a similar expense. So if I want to make a fair comparison, I would compare it to 2 or 3 apartments that I bought. So I would multiply those figures and just see how they do. Because remember, I'm measuring how much money am I taking out of my pocket versus what am I getting back. That's really the crux of everything. But that's up to you. You can compare it how you want to do. And we can go to the next one, rental income. We can choose any of these ones. I'm just going to stop. Expenses is self-explanatory. Cumulative cash flow. This is when you can see the money going out and when it starts coming in, and you actually paid yourself back 100%. So you can see on the links a little bit further on Silverviews there, and on Silverstone it takes a little bit longer. So very, very good informative information there. Right, monthly cash flow. This is traditionally what most people are familiar with. There you can see the monthly cash flow of each of these properties. Internal rate of return. You can see how they perform over time. Internal rate of return is a very complex calculation to explain, but to extremely oversimplified. If you want to compare this investment to any other investment, the closest to correct calculation that you can possibly get to is an internal rate of return. So very useful. You'll see that that's used in all the advanced property calculators. And that, yeah, you can also see your tax paid over time. Remember, in the beginning of this, your deductible expenses are more than your income, so you only start paying tax obviously when your income exceeds your expenses, and that you can see the effect over time. And then out of pocket after cash figures as well. So that is that, and I can also choose to view a portfolio. At the bottom here is the portfolio figures. That's on all the properties that I've entered there. Or I can choose, let's say I just want to see one of them, and a very informative chart for me. It's really in one illustration shows the power of property is this pie chart at the bottom here. So on this property now, I'm only looking at the links, the black one here. This shows me over the 20-year period who contributed how much. So I've paid my shortfalls to break even point is 214,000 Rand, remember, for a 1.3 million Rand property. The tenant paid me 5.4 million Rand, almost 5.5. SARS contributed 1.7 million during this time with deductible expenses. So that gives you a great overview of why people make money in property. For me, it's nothing better than that illustration. Okay, so this is the basic stuff. You can really go through this. It's all the basic figures that we've used here. Your rental management fee, it escalates at the rates that we provided earlier. We didn't make provision for maintenance or other. You can put your own figures in there. And I haven't done 13.6 deductions because we haven't dealt with that yet. We're going to deal with that now. Right, just outputs here. Tax paid, obviously 0 until you go past break-even point. Cash flow before tax. Cash flow after tax. And internal rate of return, it's either infinite or it's negative when it's showing that. So that's how you can see how it performs over time. And we are now in the links view. So you can see this is only relevant for the links. And if I want to look at that report once again in portfolio view, I just do that. And all 3 properties, the figures will be added together. And there you can see what the output of that will be. Okay, so Now let's do the following. Let's delete that property, and we delete that property. Now we're going to look at, I'm now interested in section 13.6. So this is for the advanced guys. Initially, I'm just going to look at one property. This is for someone that wants to add a property to their existing 13.6 portfolio. And then we're also going to look at duplicating the properties to make it 5 properties to see what the effect is. So in a nutshell, this is not a 13.6 video, it's just 13.6, you can deduct 50 on sectional title, 55% of the value of the purchase price excluding costs at 5% per annum over 20 years. And yeah, that's an additional deduction that you get. We're going to see the effect of that now. So first I need to, and before I get there, if I don't do sectional title and I do a full title home, then the deduction is a little bit different. So let's do this. Apply 13.6. So sectional title, it's 55% of the value of the apartment at 5% per annum for 20 years. For full title, I need to specify the land value because the land value is not deductible, only the construction costs. So that's the difference between the two, and it automatically calculates and brings everything into the equation. For now, I'm just going to work on sectional title because this apartment that we filled in here is sectional title. So my income tax rate I'm going to use here is 41%. There's a sliding scales. You can also add custom rate if you wish. Okay, view mode is individual. Okay, these are just the graphs that we covered earlier. What I really want to get to is this report. So we've selected 13.6. I've selected my marginal tax rate. And now let's look at this. So this is my cash flow before tax. 69,000. That's the sum of my shortfalls for the year. But remember, I've got deductible expenses. So what's my deductible expenses? My interest on the bond, rates and taxes, levies, management fees, and then also I have this additional 13.6 deduction, which is automatically calculated. Remember, 55% of the apartment at 5% per annum. That's the 5% per annum. So that is included in my new deductible expenses. And then my after-tax cash flow is 28,000. So my shortfalls before my tax credit was 70,000. And after is almost 29,000. And let's see that what's now nice, I can see the effect if I take 13.6 off. So then my cash flow after tax is 43,000. So there I've got about almost 13,000 Rand benefit in actual tax credit, not tax credit, actual tax saving for that year. You can see the effect over 20 years. You can see this for multiple properties. That's the next one. So let's apply 13.6. Let's keep to sectional title. Let's say I want to buy 5 of these properties. And now 5 of those, and remember I can go and change some of them if I want to change some of the details or whatever, but everything is applied here. Now I look at my portfolio value. Yeah, I can see the effect of 5 properties with the deductible expenses, tax paid, cash flow after tax. I can see all of that immediately like that. So this is very, very powerful tool. I haven't seen one that's so easy to use. Yeah, we've designed this. I've made this. It took me quite some time to do this. I built this whole application with AI, and it's very, very, very useful and powerful. So also a nice feature is I can download the report. There's my report, and that's the portfolio view. Or if I wanted an individual property, I can just choose here individual property, or I can choose the portfolio. I can download reports. I can compare portfolios with each other. I can compare properties with each other. So I've got all those things that I can do. I can also download a CSV file if I want to go and play with these figures, and explore further in my own, in for instance, an Excel environment. I can do that there. And then last but not least, so you can add as many properties as you want, is the features list here. If you want to familiarize yourself with some of the features of what we've built here, or the definitions, please go and do that here. There's a lot there. Also, please email me, and my email address is Pieter, Pieter, at houseofrealtors.co.za. And any suggestions or comments or criticism or anything about the software, how we can improve it to make your life easier, is welcome. So yeah, please feel free to give me a shout there. And yeah, I really hope you use this and it offers value to you and it helps you in your property investment journey. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.